Hi there guys, hope you're all okay. So everybody welcome to this new series which I will be shooting called the React Native series. So I've been asked many times, how do I create mobile applications? Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it time consuming? How long does it take? Do I like doing it? So I thought that instead of giving everyone a response one by one, I'll make this whole series based upon how I make apps and why I make them. Without further ado, let's talk about what I use. So I use React Native. React Native is a JavaScript framework. Now, when you go into Google and you write in the search bar google.com, so all the information that's been displayed, that's a text up language called HTML. Then you have your CSS, which is a colorful part. So blank text with nothing attached to it would be HTML, but then CSS makes it all look glamorous. Then you have your behaviors. Your behaviors is your JavaScript. So you have your alerts, you have your you click on the button and it takes you somewhere. So your behaviors, that's all JavaScript. React Native is a JavaScript framework. Actually, it uses an extension of JavaScript called JSX, which is used for hybrid applications. So now, why am I using React Native? Why don't I use Android Studio, or why don't for Androids, and why don't I use Swift for Apple? So React Native, the most beautiful thing about it is that it is one platform that you can use to code both Android and iOS. It uses native libraries, which means it uses libraries that you can basically have for Android and iOS to create components to pull off the magic. As well as this, if you're planning to code for iOS and Android, you will need a Mac. So an Apple laptop, a MacBook Pro, a MacBook Air, preferably a MacBook Pro so it can handle everything. But if you're just coding for Android, then you can use just Android Studio on a Windows computer alongside React Native. Another part of the puzzle that I haven't quite mentioned yet is Expo. Now, Expo is what you call a platform and a framework used just for assistance in React Native. So Expo has many uses. So I can download external libraries, and by the way, what I mean by libraries is when you're coding. So let's say you're in your little IDE and you're coding, and you're looking for, let's say, I don't know, let's say you're looking for a database. Let's say you're looking for a component to handle your login. So let's say you're looking for a Firebase database, an SQL database, or some sort of database to handle your login. You would import that you would import that functionality as a library and then use that library because the library does the work for you. So as I just described, Expo is one of these libraries that does the work for you. For example, with Expo, I can download the Expo client on my phone and actually load the app while I'm developing it. So I'll be developing it on my laptop and I'll be seeing the changes that happen on my phone as soon as it happens. As well as this, you can also publish on Expo. So you can show your built app to your friends, and you can also use Expo to render your APK file or your APK file or your IPA file. So guys, I think I've explained all the theory now. So without further ado, let's jump right in. To use React Native, there are two things we need to download. Number one, Visual Studio Code. It goes without saying though, we need an integrated development environment to be able to code. So I recommend this. And if you have Windows, it'll show you the Windows option rather than the Mac option. Then you have to download Node.js. Node.js is our package manager. So all of our external libraries are going to come from Node.js. Let's get down to some coding now that everything's downloaded. So the first thing we have to do is to first make sure that we actually have Node downloaded. We do that by checking the version 12.18.1. Now what we do is we install Expo. So npm install g expo CLI. Let's skip the boring part. Init. We want a blank file. We want a blank app with nothing inside it. What should we call it? Let's call it demo app. So now all the packages are being installed. So now let's get into the app. So now that we're inside the app, let's explore a bit. So these are the Expo files that we always need. Then we have the assets file. Sorry, the assets folder. This is the Expo folder that we always need. Then we have the assets folder. Inside the assets folder, we have an icon and we have a splash image. These are Expo files. We don't really need to use them. I generally like to import my images from external links, because when you're rendering, assets cause an issue, and then you have to make it into different file formats, which is a long story in itself. Then we have node modules. Node modules is the most important folder in the entire project, because this is where all the libraries are. Every single one of these are libraries that we need. Then we have this, which is used for GitHub. Then we have the app.json file, which is pretty much a manifest file where it states all the important matters. So the name, the platforms, the version, the icon, the splash image, and everything else. When you eventually build your iOS or Android APK file or APA file, you need to declare that here. So what the name is going to be. Then you have your app.js file, which is where the coding happens. So it starts off with a function. Open up app.js to start working on your app. At the bottom here, I will put a video of how that looks right now after I run it. So let's go through it first. So Babel is another library. Package.json is where we have basically laid down all the commands. So how it's going to happen, how we're going to run all the scripts, and then all the dependencies. So all the external libraries go here. And then package/lock.json is the longer version of package.json. So let's run this. I'm going to put a video on what happens when you run it over here somewhere. So if you guys can see here, it displays so it first it's showing the icon, and then that's loading, and then eventually it's going to show us open up app.js to start working on your file. So there we go, open up app.js to start working on your app. Now, as we make changes in our application, so for example, let me just put a I'm gonna change this to Corona. That changes on the app as well, as you can probably see. So, guys, this is my first video of the React Native series on how to set up. If you guys have any questions in the comments below, please like, share, and subscribe.